you're busy, but you end every project feeling like you've barely made any profits, projects run longer, you've tried different things and they don't work. We're gonna get into that.
It's okay.
Hey designers, I'm so happy because for today's video I'm joined by Hannah Bowyer. Do you want to talk about who you are, what you do, and then we can get into it?
Okay, yeah. I'm Hannah Bowyer, and I've been in business now for 6 years. And I serve interior designers, helping them create clarity and confidence, and clients that trust their process and their design and vision throughout the process.
Okay, so how do you do that?
I specifically set up Dubsado. So I work with systems and helping them create a clear and consistent experience for their client across every touch point and throughout their entire project.
I really wanted to talk to you about what I see when I get on calls with designers. Designers generally come to me because they want to delegate. Because they know they're so busy, they're struggling, they just don't have the budget for delegation. So they end up having to keep doing everything themselves. So they stay in burnout mode and they can never get to the next level.
I feel like we kind of talked about the cycle beforehand where it's like if they aren't charging enough because whatever mindset issues that they might be encountering themselves, then they're not allowing for themselves to hire in the help to be able to support the growth that they want. And it's kind of this vicious cycle where, they have to start somewhere.
What I call the burnout loop, where they are super busy, but they're undercharging because either, they want to get the project, so they tend to want to give discounts, or they're not sure what the workload is going to be like. And part of it is that sometimes they just haven't done it, so they don't know, or they don't track their time. So they think
that's important.
A task takes 1 hour and takes 3 hours. Working twice as much for very little money. Sometimes they end the project wondering where all the profit went. And so they can really never scale their business.
I feel like if part of the opportunity here is for you to be in a place where you can be designing consistently and having someone else work on the things that you don't want to do, but also things that are not making you money, right? And so if you can be in the place where you're spending the majority of your time on the work that's making you money, then you're going to see yourself be propelled a lot further and farther. Or even like when we talk about delegation and bringing in your team, having somebody do billable tasks that you don't have to do, that someone else can do for you, and it's not taking your genius to execute, like that's a really smart move, because then you're duplicating yourself essentially, and you again allow yourself to be kind of in two places at once and keep the momentum going there.
And for the admin, I talk to so many designers who don't charge clients for doing the admin related to the project. So they think, I can't possibly charge my client for, working on the invoicing or ordering things or even briefing my team. I'm like, why not? Like, this is part of the project. I'm not telling you to charge clients for doing your social media, on Fridays, but everything that's related to the project should be billed to the client. And
do you recommend as kind of like a packaged, when you're looking at like an itemized invoice for the client, are they paying a monthly fee for that kind of work? How do you present it to the client for them to be like, okay, I can see how I can transfer those costs over?
Well, so for big projects, there are multiple ways that you can price for projects, but what's recommended when it kind of starts to be a big project is to do a hybrid model where you charge like a fixed rate. And the fixed rate, you have to understand the hours still that you're going to be spending on the project, including the admin. So with the experience and the first few projects, you're going to be crap at it. Like, you're going to undercharge for sure.
Yes.
But if you
document, you got to know for future.
Exactly. If you don't track on those first projects, you're going to keep making the same mistakes.
Yeah.
So if you then have a better idea what goes into a project, you're going to charge a fixed rate for like a basic kind of package. But what I see a lot of designers and just business owners in general, and it happens to me as well, like I'm not perfect and it's stuff that I'm trying to improve on, but it's tracking our time for doing things.
I'm doing that for myself. I realized that like I have an idea of how much things take, but I was like, you know what, I really should dial in and see exactly what I'm making per hour, right? Because I charge a package rate, so I mean, I used to know, but maybe I've gotten faster, maybe I've gotten slower, I don't know.
So tracking, even for me, like I had to have a coach to keep me accountable because I don't like tracking data. But when you track the data, you track the hours, you track everything, you understand better where your time goes. Because sometimes you end the week and you feel like you haven't accomplished anything, but you were so busy. How could that be?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And I've started, and it's kind of going off, but I started writing in my planner not only the things that I want to be doing, whether it be a to-do list or my weekly tasks, but like then also reviewing my week too. And so being more aware of it helps you be more present, and tracking helps you be more present.
It's like your little
forget the timer though.
Is it like your little CEO ritual every week, right?
Yeah.
Where just look at last week, you see what worked, what moved the needle forward, where your time went. Designers who can scale, they understand that they have to step into their CEO role and not just be freelancers.
Yeah. What do you recommend for clients in beginning that CEO mindset and the time that they need to set aside for it?
So like inside our 3 months program, there is one of the four pillars is CEO mindset, and it's just implementing little habits. It's hard to implement habits. We all know, like we try to do things for 2 weeks and then we just forget about them and we go back to our old habits. But the thing is and it can be really small steps, but setting aside 90 minutes every Friday afternoon for doing things, like you're not allowed to look at projects. It's just for you to do things related to the business. So every week it will be different things.
Right, but block out that 90 minutes.
Yeah.
No appointments.
No appointments. And then it's understanding, well, you could also, it's the moment where you could just look at where your time goes and then see, okay, I feel like I have one call every day. It really disrupts my flow when I'm working on projects. So from now on, I will have my calls only 2 or 3 days per week. And then I want to block out 2 days where I'm not interrupted. Yeah. So we talked about the undercharging, which was it is really big. I feel like most of the designers coming to me for delegation are not ready because their pricing structure doesn't work for them. It just doesn't allow them to delegate. So they're stuck. They want to delegate, but then they end up just delegating crumbs, which doesn't have a big impact on their business.
No, and it feels like there's still too much mental load micromanaging when you're doing crumbs like that, as opposed to saying, here is this thing, take it over, and like I know that you have it, kind of thing. But there's trust that has to be built. And
when you start thinking like a CEO, you realize that the 15 hours you delegated are an investment. They're not just a cost. And the 15 hours you delegate, you can then use those 15 hours to take on a new project.
Exactly. And you can bill for those 15 hours that someone else is doing.
Exactly.
You're making double in that hour.
The profit potential is much bigger, but a lot of designers don't see that. They're like, well, if I do everything myself, then I can keep all the money. But when I started delegating, it was very difficult. I don't know about you in your business, but when I started delegating, it was really hard psychologically. Like I just no.
Yeah.
And then I saw in 4 months that I made 3 times what I was making before, and I was not exhausted all the time.
Yeah, exactly. My business started growing because I delegated. Absolutely. Like I brought in one person, and that one person helped expand my client load because she was helping me with tasks that I no longer had to do. And so I could, like you said, think like a CEO and start thinking about some marketing things. I could think about taking on more one-on-one calls with clients, like things that are only me and no one else.
Yeah, so true. We see that designers get stuck because they keep reinventing the wheel on every project. They don't have a process.
Right.
And like, yes. I know you know a lot about having a clear process.
Yeah. It's hard to automate it without having the process. And part of the work when they come to me for the automation is like, oh wow, there's a lot of things that I'm not thinking about, and oh yeah, I do this, and oh yeah, I prefer to do it this way or in this time frame. And when you are forced to write it down and come to terms with it, like in front of you on paper, you're like, oh, this is how I'm doing it, or this is what's lacking and what needs to be built into my process.
Yeah.
Or you could also explain, like, one of the biggest tells I see is if my clients or designers are getting asked the same questions, or they're having the same issues in every single project, then that's kind of a light bulb moment of, okay, what am I not communicating well? What could I be sharing in advance so that they're better prepared? Where is my communication just is falling apart? And so part of identifying their process too is like, when do I communicate and what do I communicate?
Yeah, and it's all really all connected.
It is, yeah.
Because if you are not good at communicating your process or how you do things, how you work, down the line,
delegate.
It's going to be scope creep.
Oh, that too.
Scope creep, blurry boundaries with clients, not being able to delegate. You don't have a clear process, so you cannot automate. Automation is seen as a solution like delegation for solving the fact that you're spending so many hours in admin.
Exactly. The back and forth in the emails for when can you meet? When I can't do it this time, I can do it this time, or etc.
Yeah, and it's just automation doesn't work if you don't know what your steps are.
Right, because then you can't repeat it. Exactly.
Yeah.
It sounds very obvious to us, but maybe it's not obvious to everyone, you know? And like, what I hear all the time is, oh, well, I'm just sitting down to my computer and I'm just going to write this email. But now they realize they've written that same email, to the past 10 clients.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, maybe I should have just written that email once and put it somewhere.
But actually that's what happened to me. And that's how I said, interesting.
Right.
I'm still writing the same email manually, and I'm so tired of writing the same thing.
Yeah.
Why don't I have templates?
Right.
And then it started with the thing, I really wanted to use Dubsado. I was like, what is my process? I have no idea. So I had to sit down for a long time. I actually decided, before I delegated, I spent a couple of months just trying to understand my process and how I wanted things to be done.
Yep.
Because then it only made delegation and automation easier. But it took me that time to understand, okay, how do we do things?
Yeah.
How do I want things to be done? What information do I need to send the client so they understand what the next step is? And that's how you also build a better client, like a better client experience. And that's how you start attracting high-end clients, because you provide a high-end experience.
Yeah, so I worked with a couple of stagers. And it's a really competitive business because they're all doing like exactly the same thing, and they're working with really one kind of client, which is the realtor. And so this one particular stager, he wanted to stand out, and he felt like everyone around him in his circle were sending Google documents and just kind of janky things, right? It doesn't make them look like they know what they're doing. And so he came to me and said, I want to look like the professional that I feel like I am. And so we took all of his documents that were in Google Drive, we redid them in Dubsado to match what he had on his website and stuff, so it looked really cohesive. And I talked to him. I met him at High Point a year or two later after I did the implementation. We've kind of kept up over the years. His business has tripled.
Wow.
Yeah, because he was standing out. He was standing out from his competitors. And people were like, oh yeah, when I reach out, like he has his stuff together, right? Like he sends the scheduler and he has a put together document, and like he knew his process and could take them through it confidently. And because he was coming forward in that way to it, he was standing apart from all the other stagers.
That's amazing.
So cool.
And it also removes a lot of friction for them, as business owners. When you're a solopreneur, you have to make sure that your time goes into the important stuff, but you want to provide a high-end experience. And for example, last week I was talking to this client in the program. So she would send the agreement letter. She would wait for people to print the letter, sign it, scan it,
send it. Don't have a scanner.
Scan or take a photo. I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
Send it back to her, and then she would send the invoice. Oh, wow. I was like, so basically, your onboarding takes a month. Yeah. Because it's just back and forth. And why don't you streamline everything? And when we looked at that, she was like, okay, so I can do my scheduling in this platform, and then I can do the signing into this platform. And we go back to the same thing. I love Dubsado, so that's why Hannah's here. Is that you have one software that does everything, because it is so stressful and so tiring and so time consuming when you have to go into so many different platforms, and you want to remove the friction for the client but also for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And the design business is so nuanced to begin with. Like, there's just so much to handle. So taking what you can and simplifying it and creating something that talks to itself is really helpful.
I think the main thing is, if you are a designer who is busy, you have clients, but you make little profits and you feel like you're burnt out, like you have no idea, you can't possibly take on more projects, that's for sure. You don't have the time for it, but you can't scale, you can't get out of doing everything yourself. There are a few things that you need to put in place before you can scale in a way that feels scalable, profitable, and fun. And those things are having a clear system, so a clear process, I guess, clear process implemented into a system that works for you.
But also for your client, for someone to be able to look at it and say, okay, this is what she does and I can replicate it, right? Because you can't delegate without that process written down either.
Yeah. The more organized you get from the get-go, the more creative time you're going to have, because those things don't live in your head. You can literally just have them in a system that is going to work for you instead of against you. So if you don't know, my 3 months program is meant to help you build that business that's going to be scalable but more fun to run. And we look at CEO mindset. So stepping into your seat as business owner is super important. Looking at teaching you how to scope and price for projects, so you not only make profits, but delegation is already baked in. The fourth pillar is having a really strong back end. So we look at this process from the first inquiry all the way to the handover. And it works really great with Hannah, who then comes in and implement all that.
Yeah, it's kind of the final step.
Yeah, because once you have the strong process, then you can look at automation, but you can't look at automation if you don't have a process.
Exactly, it's all cyclical.
We're going to be talking about Dubsado in our next video. But so if you want to hear more about how Hannah helps designers with Dubsado, and you can watch that video. Where can people find you?
Hannah Bowyer and Company on Instagram, and then hannahbowyer.com is my website.
Cool.
Yeah, thanks for chatting.
Yeah, it was so nice.
Yes.